Now we're going to apply what we've learned about shading and our different shading techniques to our 3D object. Whenever you're adding shading to a 3D object, you want to pay attention to the light source. So you want to pick one angle that the light is coming from so that you have a lighter side and a darker side. That's going to make your image pop. That's going to give the 3 dimensions. Since my lamp is here, kind of adjust it. I'm going to pretend that the sun, okay, and you guys can even, if you want to draw a sun on your paper, you can, just as a reference. The sunlight is coming from here. So the brightest part is actually going to be on this opposite side that we can't see, but it's going to be lighter here, and it's going to fade a little bit darker. Same thing on this side. It's going to get a little less light than the top. So this face should be a little darker. And back here, it's going to be really dark. So that's going to be our darkest spot. And then we'll even draw a shadow. So I'm going to start with the stippling technique up top. And you can kind of use, I'll let you guys experiment here. Do whatever techniques you want to do. But since the stippling is lighter and the top is the lightest portion, I'm going to start with that here. And make it darker as we go to the side. And then I'll even do some stippling on top of these guys. Okay, now I'm gonna do some hatch marks. I'm gonna do some line work for shading. Because this is a curved object, like it's has a curve to it, I don't wanna go straight across like this. If I do my lines like just a straight angle, that's gonna make that look flat. I wanna shade the light with it. So I'm actually gonna go up and down and follow what would be the angle of my design and then get darker near the back. You can see that kind of adds 3 dimensions to it. So light lines, once it gets to the middle, now it's getting to where there's less light here. So I'm gonna make that darker near the back of my design. You see that kind of gives like a 3D look to it. So with the front, I'm gonna do a similar technique. I'm gonna use my line work. And see, I'm turning my paper because I'm doing some line work and that is easier for me. So I'm gonna do the hatch marks. This side is lighter. It's gonna start to get darker near the back and bottom of my design. Okay, so now we've got, this is the sunlight and it's kind of getting darker. There's less sunlight here. Like I said, this backside receives less light, okay? So it's way darker than all the other ones. So I'm gonna use the cross hatching technique. And that all has about a similar amount of light. 'Cause it's not angled, it's just not receiving any light here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cross hatch some dark lines. And that's gonna make that side look even darker. Okay? Now the last thing is you can add some shadows in. So shadows you can fill in completely. So I've got a curved shape to these like little like pegs here. So I'm gonna curve the shadow. This one, if the light's coming from here, the shadow is gonna come this way. That's what's blocking the light, right? And even a little back here. So it would have a shape kind of like this. And I'm gonna do some very close together hatch marks. I'm angling it so my pencil is like even darker because this really should be all one shade. So that is adding your shading technique to your 3D object. Go ahead, experiment with this, see what works for you, practice on different shapes if you want to.